Oh, hey, welcome back. I'm just getting ready to try to get another video going. So if you're tuning back in for the first time, thanks for coming back. This video is gonna be probably just about milling some lumber. Recorded this a while back. I'm not gonna get too detailed about it. More just like a little montage or whatnot. But anyway, thanks for tuning back. I'm Jeremy. This is the Dirt Road Workshop, and glad to see you again. And there's the Woodmizer LT40. I just moved it over here. We'll try out this spot up under the tree. It's gonna be a lot shadier. And I'm gonna try this tarp up under there. I'm not sure how well this is gonna work, but when it was sitting over there. Here's some logs I got stacked up by Swayze. He's an old boy. He's 12 years old. 220 or 219 of them cut up right there in that stack. 1x4s are just being used for firring strips on roofs to put metal roofing on top of, so they're not ever going to be seen, and these will be perfect for that. But yeah, let's get to it. First thing I gotta do is change the blade on the mill. That's how I do it. There's the blade right there, undone. Go ahead and take the tension off down to 0. And then once you get it there, go ahead and give it another about 1 inch or so of thread. Don't go too far, you don't want it to come all the way out. Push that in. Put your blade in a nice little coil like this, and then put your safety wire back on it so it stays coiled. Alright, and there it is. We're going to put the covers back on it. It should be good to go, but you can see how the blade lines up on the wheel. A little bit on the back, a little on the front. It'll straighten itself out once you turn it on. Blow this off. Alright, so I got it back on this end, but it seems like the belt's slipping a little. So I'm going to have to get into that, and maybe that'll be something else. I can show you how to adjust that. You want to pop the little back stops up, so when you go to put the log on, it doesn't roll off of the side, because it will if you don't put these up. This heavy duty 12-volt connector that comes out of the battery box, and this goes to the winch, and the two go together like so. Plug it up. The winch is just mounted on there with a heavy bracket through this frame rail, which is heavy steel, and the cable runs under here. Like I said, originally it would have had a hand crank winch. It was probably run the exact same way. Cable runs under here, down into here. Oh, so we got some debris in here. So this little pulley down here runs back up to this pulley, runs down to the arm through it, and there's a little pulley down there, and back up over this and locks in right here with this hook. And when you retracts, it moves that arm. You can roll a log with it. Do what you need to do. So basically what I'm getting at is when I cut it, I'm gonna cut it this way. I know this is a really crooked line. A section out the middle like that, 3.5 inches, and then cut boards out of it this way. Well, you don't want to waste all the rest of this wood, so I'm gonna cut these into 3/4 inch pieces, put them 90 degrees, and then cut them into 1x like this. So this log is about 18 inches. You can see the pith is right around 9.5. I can put a mark there. And then measure off of a reference point. Like say this rail right here, because it runs all the way down. It actually drops in the middle, but it's the same height on the other end. So when you get to the other end, you can measure off of it. All right, here's the small end of the log, and you can see the pith isn't quite in the center on this end. So I'm gonna mark 7 to kind of split the difference, and that'll be a good compromise. All right, 7 inches, and we'll measure up from this rail right here to the mark. And I'm measuring 16.25. From the frame rail to the mark, we got 15 inches. Yep. So 15 inches on that end, 16.25 on this end. So what we need to do, which is kind of odd or surprising, is actually the big end needs to come up a little bit so that the centers match. Pull this out, stick it right here. All right, kind of evened out 15.75 on both ends. Pick this end up, the other end went down. That's how it goes. And that's pretty well even. All right, I'm back out here. It is the following day. You notice the lighting may have changed. I think I'm gonna get rid of the sawdust before I get started, because it's starting to get a good pile and it gets heavy. I don't know how good you can see it, but it's a small little line, and I got it lined up on 10.75. So I know that's the top of where I want my square cant to cut the 1x out of. I take that mark and line it up with the bottom of this. Just because it's easier to see the bottom instead of trying to see the little hairline, and then clamp it in place. And the clamp is just this little thumb screw right here. This is my homemade water tank for blade lubrication. So there's the first cut, and I'm probably gonna make another pass to get it set. But I like to do it like this too, because if you cut it all at once, that piece that comes off is usually so heavy it's really hard to handle. But there we go. I'm gonna make another pass, and then we'll be able to roll at 90 and get our square corner on our arris, so to speak. And after that, it's easy sailing. All right, it does seem to be slipping a little, so I'm gonna get in here and try to adjust this before we continue on. And as you can see, the belt is pretty loose. Slipped this down in here and then cut a wedge, drove in there, Now, got the belt pretty tight. So I'm gonna snug those bolts back up and make sure we're good to go. Put the covers back on, just like took them off. Had a interstate battery in here for years and years, and finally started, getting where it wouldn't hold a charge, and went and got this Ever Start, also known as Never Start. If you rotate it all the way, what'll happen if you need to adjust the height, it tends to want to shift when you do that. So I'll go ahead and get it most of the way. You can see it's not quite all the way. Rotate it 90 degrees from where it was. Check your measurements. I come off at this top of this support to my mark here. And you see I have right at 10 inches. Come down to this other side. And measure from the same point, top of this support to this mark, and I'm right at 10 7/8. Once again, here's our handle down here. Put it on the jack, and you can crank it. You may want to, if it's a wide cut, leave a little gap right here on the top, because when it cuts, it's going to pull it down. Mill head down this way a little bit, and you actually have to account for that when you adjust it about a 1/16 of an inch. There, you don't really have enough engagement on this backstop to determine if it's square or not, so that's why I use the frame to square off of the blade. And we are down to 3 sides squared up. I'm gonna rotate it 90 degrees and cut the other side square, and we'll have all the bark outside of the log cut off, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. All right, now we are cut on all 4 sides. I'm gonna rotate it 90 degrees, slab it down to my 3.5 inch cant in the middle. Rotate it 180 degrees, slab it down to my 3.5 inch cant. Cut those into 1x4s and turn the middle part up and cut those into 1x4s. Alright, so I got it sliced down to where I want to stop here. And you did one with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. The top one, then on this end, stick on the other end. Might not be able to use it, probably not. You'll have that, especially if you're starting with a crooked log and you start cutting the outside off it. You're going to be relieving the tension, the internal stress of the log, and the ends will move around. Sometimes they'll bow, it's just part of the process. Now what I do now is set those off to the side, roll the log over 180 degrees, do the same thing down the other side till I wind up with a 3 3/4 inch thick section out the middle of that. And then I'll turn that up and cut it 3/4 down. You'll see. Alright, so this is what I was talking about. We cut all those 1x and then put them up 90 degrees and clamp them in. And we should have 3 sections and a pretty good bit of 1x. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12, 3, 36 boards, but probably not gonna get that many because there's a couple that have pointy edges, but we'll see what we get. All right, so here's a little closer look. These are the 1x4s, and as you can see, they're pretty well clear grain, except for this knot when you get closer to the other end. But you got a good 10, maybe 12 feet. And no knots down here. And there's a bunch of them like that, and they're not all like that. This one here has a knot in it. But they're not bad for what they are. There goes one of my local hot rod heroes with the glass packs. All right, this stack is 219 boards so far. And, we're gonna stack up the other ones and see what we get. All right, so it went from 219 to 245. So I turned the cant 90 degrees, and we're gonna just cut it off 3/4 inch slices. See what we get. All right, so I wound up getting 13 or 1x4s out of this cant. There we go. I gotta clean them up a little bit, try to get as much of that wet dust off as possible and get them stacked up, and that'll be a wrap on this load. 39 out of that log. Pretty good. It wasn't a huge log, but it wasn't a little one either. It was a good size one. I wound up cutting 330 1x4s on this run. The two smaller logs that were on the back of that stack that you saw earlier wound up going into the junk pile. On closer examination, they weren't very good. A lot of branches, a lot of knots, and they were kind of old, so I didn't bother with them. What's the point if you got a whole mess of logs to choose from? But if you've stuck around this far, I want to say thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to click like, and if you'd like to see more videos, subscribe to the Dirt Road Workshop YouTube channel. I'm gonna try to keep them coming pretty consistently, maybe do some other topics, and thank you for watching.